Do you want more? More time, more balance, more love, more sex, more money, more real, and less bullshit? This is the Women Wanting More podcast with Dr. Karen Osborne. Real life, real stories, plus real tips to get you more of what you want.
All right, so let's talk about the power of gratitude. Gratitude for the win, I'm calling this episode. Gratitude for the win. So you could take this episode and just go, yeah, gratitude, I got you, Karen. Gratitude journal, yada, yada, you know. And I want you just to be open to the possibility that these simple things that we often all, we kind of like know or aware of, we might even agree with them. We might nod our heads when we hear them. We go, yeah, it's so important. But then sometimes what happens is when we think that we know something, we shut off the possibility for us to seeing something different, something new, something deeper. And my experience has been, in my personal life, in my own personal growth, in coaching clients over the years, is that when we open ourselves up to the possibility of seeing something deeper in the what we often deem as the simple, in the I already know that, when we open ourselves up to realizing that there is something more that we can always see to any situation, simply for the mere fact that we are evolving and changing and growing all the time. So of course we're going to. It's kind of like, have you ever read a book, either fiction or nonfiction, then you read it again, you go, oh, I don't remember that part, or you get more of a depth. I read Eckhart Tolle's 2 books, so The Power of Now and A New Earth, when they came out. Okay, and then I was at a certain place in my life, and actually I didn't read all of New Earth. I can see where because I picked up the book and I read it again last year. I got to chapter 3 and then I zoned out. I wasn't ready for it. I read The Power of Now, but it was more of read that book, check it off the list, right? When I read them both last year, it was the angels sang and doves flew out of the books. And I was my mind was blown on a regular basis, right? And so even though I had read it, I'm now reading it as a different person, as a different Karen than when I first read them, and I'm seeing new things. And so understanding concepts like the power of gratitude and what that actually really does is only going to be seen if you open yourself up to the possibility of this conversation right now together, you and me, sister to sister, of what gratitude really does and the possibility of it. Actually, I saw something really cool the other day, an article on Facebook of really they've shown in the science that gratitude actually rewires your brain. They're finding ways that's we know all these things, right? Well, I shouldn't say we know all these things. We know how important it is. We know what state it puts us in. We know how that shifts us into things. But it's they're actually finding the science now when they study the brain that it changes things. And because we now know that there's plasticity to the brain, meaning that you can constantly be molding and changing it. It's not just rigid. You don't get to a certain age and then that's it, right? Either biologically or set in your ways or it's in your DNA or whatever the stories are that we tell ourselves. But that it can keep evolving and changing all the time. How exciting is that, right? So yeah, they're finding that gratitude actually shift things. And that even when they've done it was a study where they study the effects of gratitude, and then always in, most true scientific studies are going to have a control group, right? And so they had actually 2 different, they had control group that didn't do anything, and then they had one that did the gratitude thing, and one that did, some other version. But what they found is that those were there in the gratitude group, written gratitude, that the effects of that continued even after they stopped doing that. Isn't that amazing? It continued. So it didn't it wasn't just in the moment and then it went out the door, right? It built on top of itself. But let's go deeper into this conversation of gratitude. What we do put our attention to in our life matters. It doesn't mean you got to censor your thoughts to the point of being the thought police. It doesn't mean that you do the spiritual bypassing stuff and saying, oh, nope, here comes a negative thought. Nope, gonna think positive. Nope, doesn't mean that either. there are certainly times when you have to tell fear and anxiety and panic and just all this, stress to just sit the F down. Like, there are times when you're going to have to, like the stern mother, like, nope, not today. Not right now. No. Courage is leading this game today. Confidence is here right now. Grace is who's leading this pack. Not you today. So there'll be times when you need to really, like, tell fear, tell anxiety, tell stress, all that stuff to just sit down. Tell it to doubt, tell it to jealousy, tell it to shame and guilt. Just sit down. But for the most part, we got to acknowledge these things are coming up. And I mentioned in the last podcast, I love this method that Gabby Bernstein talks about in her new book, Super Attractor, which is like, basically like a prayer to that thought. Like, thank you for showing me what I don't want so I can have some clarity on what I do want. Right? You're acknowledging it. It's just saying, like, I see you, fear. And I appreciate you showing me what I don't want, because I don't like the way this feels. This does not feel good to me right now. I don't want to be in fear. I don't want to have this anxiety. I don't want to be stressed out. I don't want to feel this guilt and this shame. Like, I don't want these things. So thank you for showing me what I don't want so I can have more clarity on what I actually do want. But gratitude is one of the easiest ways to shift, right? It's kind of like having that in your back pocket. You don't need to go anywhere. You don't need to, like, do anything special. It doesn't involve anybody else. Which, by the way, any of the great tools that you have and strategies and techniques and things that really help you create the life that you want, the more that they are not, contingent on a schedule, other people aren't, like, all that kind of stuff, there's no excuses for you, right? Number one. And then you can just access it at any time. Like, think of something else that's like that. Your breath, right? You can anytime say, I'm going to sit here, I'm going to breathe deeply. Right now as I'm moving through my own grief with my father's passing. He passed away 2 weeks ago. And my mom, and, with my mom too, she has pretty progressive dementia. And so, like, there's that layer of it as well. The things you'd never thought you would experience when you grieve the loss of a parent. This is my first, obviously, because my mom's still alive. That I'd be comforting and helping my mom through her grief, and then my kids through their grief. So it's tricky, to say the least. And but one thing that I do with my mom is, when I talk to her twice a day, because she lives in Ontario, I'm here in BC, is I say a prayer with her. Take it from the Marianne Williamson book, which is called A Year in Miracles. Love it. And it's like my Bible. But the first thing that we do together is we breathe. So I have because my mom's holding the phone, right? She's holding the phone as we're speaking. She's in a nursing home. So she's got, regular corded phone. And then she's got one hand over her heart, and I have her close her eyes, and we breathe in through our nose and out through our mouth 3 times to just ground, right? So your breath is something you always have access to, and gratitude is something that you always have access to. It's not about, here's what I want you to know about gratitude. It's not about ignoring the things in your life that are not okay, or that you're wanting to change, or that you're wanting to move through, or you're wanting to heal through. Great, that's a piece of it, right? Like, we're going to still acknowledge those things, but it's about focusing on what you have that you are grateful for. And what they've actually found is that when you attach that thing you're grateful for to where you really feel it, this is where the miracles flow in. This is when you create an opening, a door for that. This is when you create an opening, a door for possibility. This is when the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, your angels and guides will say, oh, cool, you like that? Oh yeah, we got some other cool stuff. Here you go. Let me throw this ball to you. When we focus what's happening in our life and what we don't like what's happening in our life, then, and we've all been there before, so don't judge yourself. Don't go, oh, I did it wrong. Don't feel guilt or shame. No, you don't have to choose any of that. It's simply an understanding that you can look back on times in your life and went, man, when I focused on what I didn't want, I just kept getting things I didn't want. And then where does ego often take us? Blame. Oh, it was them. Let me point my finger somewhere else. Which, by the way, I had someone share this with me, and as I really resonate with this, when you point your finger at somebody else or some other thing, right? This person did this to me. This society's doing this to me. My kids are doing this to me. My work is doing, like, you're pointing away. You are pointing your power away. You are leaking and giving your power away to that person, situation, experience, your story, whatever it is. Don't do that. You don't have to choose that. We are conscious creators in our life. Everything that is coming up for you is serving you in some way. Yes, even some of the really awful shit. And I know that's hard to see when you're in it. I see you, sister. I hear you with that. I get it. Believe me, I really, really get it. So it's not to ignore those pieces. It's let me focus on that, because yes, without it sounding like a cheesy meme, but this is so true, what we focus on expands. What we focus on, the universe goes, oh, you like that? Again, let me give you more of that. When we attach what we're grateful to the emotion where we're really feeling it, right? And listen, it is easy to be grateful when you're in a place of like, everything's flowing in life and everything's good, no, gratitude is I love how Brene Brown talks about this, and I mentioned this several times on the podcast over the years, of gratitude is a practice. It's not something you just do when you feel grateful. Like, no, right? If we only loved our children when they were like being loving, there'd be some times where like, this is hard to stay loving my kids because I don't like I'm not loving what they're doing. That's not what that is. You know, that's like, it's an unconditional love that you feel towards your children, no matter what. I love you. So I want you to see gratitude as that way. No matter what, I'm grateful. And if it's simply of I'm grateful, I woke up this morning and I'm alive. I remember when we were in practice as chiropractors, we had a practice in St. Albert, Alberta, Canada for 14-ish years. And I remember with some patients, and it's funny, I used to take this as, and it was kind of like a little pessimistic, right? I'd be like, oh, it's great to see you today. It's like, yep, I'm not 6 feet under. Be chatting with patients, and I'd be like, oh, okay, well, you're saying I'm not dead on the ground, so that's a good thing? I guess so, but it seems to me you're setting the bar pretty low as to what's a good day, right? And that was one way that I saw that and honestly judged it. When I look back on it now. But it can be as simple as that, of just like, you know what? I'm alive today. Thank you for this life I am grateful for. This morning for me, it was like, I'm so grateful for this coffee in my hand right now that I hold and sip as I write in this journal. I'm so grateful for how fun it is to read Harry Potter to my sons, the first book. And they're excited. Well, mostly Tyson, my eldest, but they're excited about it and can't wait to go like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? Oh, we got to find out when we finish reading the first book, when we go to sleep. You know, I'm grateful for creating this ritual that they've really, really, they love. And there's 7 of them, right? I'm grateful to see the sun come up today. I'm grateful for my body that supports me and takes me through my day. Gratitude is an expansion practice. It's like an expander. What does fear do? Fear's like a contractor, right? It's a shrinker. It takes what you have and who you are, and it tries to make it small. Gratitude makes you big. Isn't that cool? See it that way almost, right? Almost think of it, it's kind of like a balloon. You know, in a balloon, if not a helium, it's a regular balloon, right? You blow the air in. That's like gratitude, like expanding you to take up space, to be the bigness that you are, for you to shine in the world, sister, as you are. Beautiful, gorgeous, powerful, sexy, smart, brilliant, worthy. When we focus on the stuff that we don't like, again, I'm not saying don't do the spiritual bypassing, but when we focus and fixate and obsess over the things that we don't want, it shrinks us. It's like seeing all the air come out of the balloon, right? you fill up a balloon, if you go to like tie it or something, and then if you slipped and let go, it maybe kind of like, moves around the room because the aerosol until it kind of drops on the floor. And then you've got this little shriveled balloon, whereas once you had it was like this big, beautiful balloon. Now it's this kind of wrinkly, small, like it's nothing's inside of it. That's what fear does to us. It shrinks us. It makes us kind of like feel small, like nothing left inside of us. Scarcity, right? Gratitude, abundance. Fear, scarcity. Gratitude, taking up space. Because we know that we matter. And even if we don't feel it fully, we know at some level that we matter in this world. There's no accidents. We matter. We're here for a reason. You don't have to know your quote-unquote purpose right now and get all stressed about it. Just, you matter. Fear says, if I wasn't around, it wouldn't really matter. No one really loves me. No one believes in me. My life sucks. Gratitude, breath, fullness, presence. Fear, past, future, guilt, shame, regret. It's a practice, gratitude. So your more tip for today is to make gratitude a daily practice. You can swing it any way you want. Okay, so for me, I journal in the morning 3 things before I start my journaling. Today I'm grateful for, and I write those 3 things down in my journal. I also at night, if you follow me on Instagram, by the way, which is under my name, Dr. Karen Osborne. I think there's spaces in there, but anyways, you can just Google Karen Osborne, you'll find it. It'll come up. OSBURN. My Instagram stories, I've started doing this the last 2 nights. And I'm like, I like doing this before I go to bed too. Today I'm grateful for, and then I kind of share it up. Number 1, number 2, number 3. Again, I write it, right? In my Instagram stories. Like, I love that. I want to go to bed with that being the last thing that's kind of like on my mind, right? What am I grateful for as I drift off to sleep right now? And there's been some miraculous things that have come into my life, miracles that have come into my life in that place. And then when I really feel it, I had this experience a couple nights ago where I was just like, I literally out loud was just, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. I just kept going. I'm just talking to myself out loud. And then as I'm drifting off to sleep, because I have my phone next to me, because I often will have some kind of like a guided meditation, not someone talking, but just like music or binaural beats kind of meditation stuff. And I use that as my alarm. And then someone sent me a text, literally 5 minutes, that was just like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. Like, there was no accident when I heard from that person. No accident. I was in such a state, such a vibration of like, I'm so thankful. Like, it was a really like a big feeling. Now, it's not going to always be like that, right? You might kind of be like, all right, here we go, gratitude practice. I don't know. Everything sucks right now. Again, gratitude is a practice. Couple deep breaths. The little things you can be grateful for. I can look right down and be like, oh, I'm grateful for these Lulu tights. I like live in Lululemon, but just like, I'm like, oh my God, these ones are they're like a little heavier. It's a little cooler. It's when they're just so nice and warm and cozy, I can be grateful and go, man, I'm grateful for the vehicle that I drive. It's a lovely car. I'm grateful that it's getting cooler. I'm wearing a beanie. I love wearing beanies. Like, I love the fall. I'm grateful that it's cool out. I'm about to just head out for a run as I just drop the kids off at school and then have this conversation with you. Like, it is a practice. So choose a way of how to make gratitude a practice for you. And I'm going to encourage you that it's going to be written in some way. So just decide what that is. Morning, night, midday, write it down, share it up with the world on social media. Doesn't matter. But create that as a practice, as a ritual. Just like you wouldn't, not leave the house without brushing your teeth, right? Or I wear contact lenses, right? I got to put my contacts in. I can't see well, otherwise the world's very blurry. Right? You wouldn't leave the house probably first thing in the morning. The first thing you're probably going to get up and do is pee. You got to put now again, that's your body speaking to you, right? But just something that you're going to have as a practice that no matter what, you do that thing. No matter what, you do that thing and you commit to it. Because you know that when you are in that state of gratitude, that this is where the miracles flood in. This is where flow happens. This is where ideas come from. This is where inspiration is from. And this is how expansion happens. So gratitude for the win today, sister. You know, these are some of the practices that I teach and go really deep with my one-on-one clients. And again, they seem like they're just little things, and sometimes we'll do them and then we kind of just fall off track. But the women that I work with that are really just like, you know what, Karen, I'm at this crisis. I'm at a crossroads in my life. I don't know what to do. I've been trying all these different things and I'm just stuck and I need help. And, you know, to be honest, this one-on-one coaching, I have a lot of women that do apply, and it's not for every woman. It's not, and that's okay. But it might be something that's for you. And the only way that you're going to know, the only way you're going to find out if it is something is for you is to apply. But this is for women that, again, like, you're like ready. You're like, I'm done. I can't keep going on like this. It's costing me in so many different ways, not just financially, but it's costing me my energy. It's costing my health. It's costing my relationships. It's costing my work. Like, no, it's time. I'm ready. Like, let's go. Okay. So this is my application. Here's what you need to apply. And currently there's 2 spots that are open for one-on-one coaching. Because it is such an intimate relationship. There is so much work that we do together. We co-create based on what you want to create within your life. That is the energy that I have, is for just a limited number of women that just really want to play at this level, want to create at this level. So to apply, here's what you do. Send me an email, drkarenosburn@gmail.com. So drkarenosburn@gmail.com, or drkaren@drkarenosburn.com. Either way, it gets through to me. drkarenosburn@gmail.com, drkaren@drkarenosburn.com, and simply say I'd like to apply, and I'll send you the next step from there. So I'll talk to you in the next episode, sister. A life of more really is one step away of understanding that it's gratitude for the win every single day. I love and appreciate you.
To get the show notes of each Women Wanting More episode, including the How to Get More tip, subscribe to the newsletter at drkarenosburn.com/newsletter.